Bark. What does a dog do when they finish obedience school? What do they get? Their pedigree, right? What do you call a wild dog who meditates? And a werewolf. I know. They're silly, right? Why aren't jokes about corgis funny? All of them are really short. It's hard not being with you in person to tell jokes. But when my now partner was auditioning to play a significant role in my life, Reverend Matt came to visit me one summer, and he was taking a self-funded sabbatical in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and came to visit. And I have 2 dogs, and they are not old and they are not young. And maybe they'll put pictures of them up as we go. We'll see if it happens. And my dog, Henry, has never been great about coming in. And we have taken him to dog training. We've hired private trainers. We've worked for dozens of hours with long leads and, bringing them back. I have been suckered into buying more and more expensive dog treats. And I have, I've done like all the things you're supposed to do. Feel free to tell me all the dog jokes, right? Like, do you know what dog is spelled backwards? God, that's right. One of you said it. Yes. Right. Well, Reverend Matt was expecting my dogs to be obedient. And I don't have dogs that are ready for any kind of TV competition show. We are not going on National Geographic. My little dog is a Havanese, and he's deaf, and he actually listens to hand signals, and he's more obedient than the one that has all of his senses about him. The other one is a bearded collie, a beardy, and he will stay out in the rain if he's decided that he's not going to do something, and get all wet and be grumpy just to not listen. So I reminded Reverend Matt that you often can't teach old dogs to listen. What they learn in their first year or so is usually the sum of what they're going to obey. And so I tried to explain how Henry, the bearded collie, has never been good at coming in or listening. It's just really not his thing. And he's supposed to be a show dog, but really he's more of a roll in the mud, jump 7 feet straight up in the air and hang 10 from the fence. More of like an urban farm dog, the way he likes to stay outside. And I give Matt this whole history of this dog breed and how it relates to his training. I go over all the ways myself and my kid and my ex-wife had worked with Henry. And now I was single, and my son and I had better luck than my ex-wife did getting him to come in, but still not show dog worthy. And he was far more likely to come in with like a big cucumber vine wrapped around his snout than any kind of blue ribbon. And still, Reverend Matt was undeterred. He was going to get this dog to come. So delighted to give him another chance, I explain Henry is a bearded collie. They're very smart Scottish sheepdogs. I offer these like breed basics and tips about training this kind of dog, and I let Reverend Matt have at it. And first, he was totally unsuccessful. And I was amused watching him fail. And Reverend Matt, that man loves a long game. He can play the long game for years if he needs to. And I love that about that person. He starts watching videos and reading up on training, and he realizes that Henry will not be learning in the manner of his former dogs that were golden retrievers, right? Much easier. I see some of you nodding and going, oh yes, totally different, right? Now I'm going to pause for a moment and say, I'm an interim minister. And a lot of times, as a minister who goes and serves congregations for short periods of time, I regularly encounter congregants that try to hand me their problems and say that the problems that are going on in the congregation are my problem and things that are my fault to, deal with. And I like to take those and hand them right back to them because this is their congregation and it was there when I got there, and it's up to them to figure it out. And I'm just there as a coach and an idea person, and I can give them clues, but we have to use the bylaws and we have to use all the tools from Unitarian Universalism, and we have to figure it out, right? But it's still theirs. So I give it back to them. Now, if you've trained a dog ever, what do you often end up learning about the dog training? Are you training the dog or are you going to get the training, right? I see people nodding. Yes, very painful, right? Don't you hate that part? I always wonder, what do those people do who pay to send their dog away to get trained? Like, how does that work? Because we all know that it's you who has to get the training, right? Okay, that's just a little pause there. So I thought Reverend Matt would tire of this game, and I thought that he would wear out because Henry was nothing like a golden retriever. And one day, after Reverend Matt very patiently walking around the yard until Henry wore out and Henry came in, Matt taught the older dog to come in when he was called. Now, in congregations, there are some common themes that every single congregation that I meet all thinks is unique to them and only happening to them. And we all think it's only our problem. And guess what? We all have these same problems. So let me go over what some of those problems that we all have are. There are not enough kids. Where did they go? There are not enough young families. We need more diversity. We are worried that the congregation is shrinking. We need more money. There are not enough donations from enough different people. We gain people each year, but then we lose people each year. Often the ideas to correct these problems are about going back to things we used to do. Sometimes they involve things like going back to teaching RE the way we used to, or going back to doing everything the way we used to. Declare that we are welcoming. People will say, we think we're welcoming. Or they will insist, if they would just come, whoever the they is, it doesn't matter. We can fill in the box for whoever the they is. Everything would be fine. And yet, the world, the neighborhood, is not the same as it was a decade ago or even 5 years ago. Many more of our young people or our young parents have to work more jobs to survive. The cost of housing has skyrocketed. There are less people available to volunteer in religious exploration or on boards or committees. Youth programs did not bridge folks into adult membership like we dreamed they would, because sadly, we know that no faith is better than we are at moving our youth out of our faith at age 18 than you use. We have statistically proven that. We are in a time of big change, And because of the way we have been doing things has not been working, and because the whole world has been changing, we are in this loss of people and of needing to do things new ways, and we're grieving. It doesn't mean we're bad. It doesn't mean that we're wrong. It doesn't mean we're unlovable. It doesn't mean that you did something that needs punishing. It's none of that. You are lovable, you are beautiful, and you're going to be okay. But it also means you have to move differently. COVID has vastly changed not only what parenting looks like and work looks like, but forever changed how lonely and isolated people of every age feel. More of us stay home than ever before, needing far more encouragement to entice us out of our PJs and into the arms of real hugs and live conversation. None of these problems are unique. In fact, the more often you get out and get to things where you can talk to other UUs at other congregations, you will realize that the Sallys and the Johns and the Lees and all the people that are characters in your congregation, they're characters in another congregation with the same problems as you. And the solutions do not involve going back. We often wonder if we are so very welcoming, why the folks who we dream to be here are not here already. Just pause for a minute and really think. Why do you think they, whoever they are not here? Is it because they don't know we are here? Couldn't they have Googled our congregations already? Is it because they went to our website and found nothing to interest them? Is it because we told them we had all the answers? Is it because we asked them for a lot of help before nourishing them first? Did we take time to get to know them first? Did we ask them what they were looking for? I've often had members say, well, I don't know what they're interested in. And I say, I don't know either. Did you ask? Just ask. Hey, I'm Reverend Denise. It's really nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here. How'd you find us and what brought you here? What are you into? Everyone has a different answer. They have really different answers. I have no way to predict what they're going to say, but I do know that if I'm quiet and I ask, they'll tell me. So take time to get to know them. Do we offer readings and music and art and programs that felt and sounded like them when they were written by authors and creators who shared their identities? Ask what people are seeking. Offer to foster their spiritual hunger. Give them space to learn and acclimate. Hey, is this seat taken or would you prefer to sit alone? Now, there are some secrets that could change this picture for your congregation. Because I'm an interim, I share secrets. When you get your settled minister, your goal will be to just fall in love with each other. My goal is to help love up the congregation because I'm here to help you love your faith. You have to dare to participate. And I want to congratulate everyone who dared to participate in yesterday's session because that took some daring to do that. And there's other things coming that your search team is putting on, that your board is putting on, and more things that are coming. The Side with Love programs that come are daring every single month. Dare to do church different. Are you up for that? When I was a kid, I loved secret languages. I was always looking for formulas to write backwards Or maybe I could use lemon juice to write, or maybe find some invisible ink that would only show with a black light. But my mother would never buy me the black light. Why not? I wanted the ads that were on the backs of cereal boxes or in the backs of comic books that offered those magical items to work. You know, that real decoder tool with the 3D glasses that would reveal something astonishing. Did any of you want that? Right? Thank you. Right? And why couldn't it say, use this tool and all your homework will be done for you automatically and correctly, right? But it didn't. It sometimes would say, send this away with 50 cents to try some magazine offer, only to get the secret code to be heartbroken when the thing was a colored piece of junky paper, right? Or a little hunk of plastic, and it revealed some commercial ad for some brand of toy that they wanted me to buy. It was so disappointing. In our reading today that Sally gave on neuroplasticity, we learned that not only do we continue to have our brains grow every day, they grow every day throughout our entire lives, but the more we use our brains, the more our brains can learn. And here we are, we're all doing Wordle and connections, and some of us are playing Sudoku, and, we're doing all these brain games, right? But in doing the research for this sermon, I was reading how one of the most effective things we can do to expand our brains and prevent them from atrophying. Are you ready for this? It's way more effective than Sudoku. Is meeting new people and talking to different people and getting involved in small groups and talking to people who are unlike you. What? Right? And every time people talk about what it is about church or fellowship or whatever we call it that's so effective, it's small groups. You won't even believe this. Those events, those things that help you learn about anti-oppression, they all involve small groups. So they all involve getting to know other UUs. And it's this peculiar thing that I can't quite figure out about UUs. They love to talk about neuroplasticity, right? I didn't even need to tell you this. You'd already read 17 articles on it, right? It wasn't even interesting. You were bored. You knew about it already, right? And UUs love groups that prove facts to one another. Most of our congregations have not one, but two, and sometimes three book groups, right? We love learning. And yet, when it comes to learning about that part of justice issues where we need to go deeper into race and gender and class and sexuality and the myriad of issues that go along with those, I often will get responses from our congregants that say things like, well, can't teach an old dog new tricks. Or, well, I'm old, so I'm done. Or, well, what I got is what I got. Where I am is what I am. And I'll think, my dog Henry learned how to come in, So brain science tells us that our brains continue to grow and change until the day we die. So you are not done. You are not where you're at, and you indeed can change. You too can learn to come in when you are called, and I am calling you now to go deeper. Go have better friendships. Go work in small groups and join those programs you have been invited to. I'm inviting you again now. You wanted a sign from God? This is it. We're just calling it dog. In offering programs that teach about transgender awareness or deepening programs like Transforming Hearts, it's done with intersectional awareness and justice perspectives looking at race and gender and sexuality and class. Great programs like Living the Pledge, Beloved Conversations, Jubilee Training, the 8th Principle Learning Group, which you can find on Facebook. All kinds of programs like that are out there and part of our UU association. You can get involved in small groups of other UUs and you can learn and grow. And sometimes people tell me they don't join these things because they take too long, or they're too intense, or the church isn't ready, or our group isn't ready to do that, or our board isn't ready to do that, or there won't be enough people. Or I did one of those programs once because one and done, right? Must make you all done. Or we did that at work, or my kid is trans, or I adopted a child of color, or my grandchild's from another country. And I'm just going to let you know, those responses are old tricks. They are not old dogs. So I mentioned to you that I loved secret magic messages. In some church systems, people are anxious to learn more. And sometimes those folks are from marginalized identities that know from hard experiences that the world and language we use to describe it is always changing. And on the other hand, sometimes folks are sure that they know everything already because they went to a protest in 1962 and therefore they are established independent thinkers and they know it all already. The secret path to new friends and expanding brains and new experiences is in all those classes and workshops and books and podcasts that are, yes, sometimes intense and probably uncomfortable. But guess what? One of the lines I heard yesterday in class was, "You will not die. In fact, you might become like my dog, Henry, and who knows what, but he now knows how to come in come in when he's called." We can all still learn, and you may even become someone with a new secret decoder pen that will open up a secret path. And if you are, I want to be the first person to know, because that path might be lit with new friends and experiences and joy even. It might be rough sometimes, but you will not be alone. We UUs are going to keep going on the road to beloved community, and I hope you will join us on that path. We're going to leave candles out for you, and we will light the way for each other. You are welcome to join at any time, and there is always room for you on the road to beloved community. So I invite you to be like young, adorable puppies, because it's time to learn some new tricks. Blessed be, my friends.